Hello YouTube. Born to be Wild NE here. And as always, NE stands for Nebraska. And go Big Red U Huskers. It's Monday, April 29. A year ago today, I was walking my little sister down the aisle to be married. Happy anniversary, little sister, little brother-in-law. Got about a 3-hour ride planned. Headed out to a historical location in Nebraska. It is the site of one of 11 Army air bases built during World War II and used to train pilots. I find that pretty interesting. There were 11 air bases in Nebraska built and used to train pilots. I don't know where else in the country they built training air bases. I do know that one of the thoughts was that Nebraska in the middle of the country would be somewhat harder for enemy spies to get to and possibly sabotage. 57 degrees, 1:36 in the afternoon, says the Pinnacle Bank sign. I got stuck behind a grain truck, it looks like. So, it gives me an opportunity to practice some patience. Nights ago, I had a frost warning. Don't think it ever hit 32, but that's Fahrenheit for you, my one Canadian viewer. Boy, does it feel good to be back out on the bike. Wind's coming from those cattle yards. One can tell they're there. Man, is it nice. Nebraska last year phased in a 5-mile-per-hour increase on our highways. So this used to be a 60-mile-per-hour, and now it's a 65-mile-per-hour, which means, you know, a lot of people go a little bit above that. Today I want to get to this specific World War II Army training airbase. Many of them, the traces are long gone. There's probably a historical marker by quite a few of them. But this one, at least what I read on the web, says you can walk the runways and got a model of what it looked like when it was fully developed. So hopefully it will be something worth revealing to all 9 of my YouTube subscribers and anybody else who might stumble across the video. 9. I did peak at 10 and I lost one. This is Friend, Nebraska. 1,176 souls strong. The last time they had to order a population sign. Established 1871. There's a bar called the Tipsy Cow. And not the Dairy Queen, but the Daisy Queen. No copyright infringement intended. Dairy Queen is owned by Berkshire Hathaways of Warren Buffett fame. So we're on Highway 6, headed west. We're staying on this road till we hit Fairmont, Nebraska. And then we will turn south on Highway 81. And it is supposed to be just a couple miles outside of town, so... But a lot of these little towns along this particular route were founded as railroad towns, railroad servicing towns back in the early days. Bend and braking prohibited. Methinks they're not talking about motorcycles. Exeter, Nebraska. Population 591 souls strong. Last time they had to order a population sign. We get down to 40, so we'll engine brake a little bit more. Boarded up homes, boarded up businesses. Fairmont, 7 miles. Gee. Won't be long now. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Told my daughter I'd only be out for a 3-hour ride. Of course, I think Gilligan and the skipper said something like a 2-hour cruise, right? I don't remember the specific length of time that their ill-fated cruise was planned for. Another interesting tidbit, those railroad towns when they were established, the names of the towns incremented along the alphabet, A, B, C, D. Exeter was E. Fairmont is F. Beyond that is Grafton, I think it is, with the G, and then Hastings. I don't recall beyond that. Some of those little places may not even still exist. I would really like to go to Alaska next year. At one time I was hoping to do it this year, and a while back I deferred it 1 year. Hopefully. But it's like a 60-day adventure. That's at 5 hours of riding time per day, and with 9 or 10 either rest days or local exploration days all built in. And we absolutely know that there'll be days longer than 5 hours in the saddle. But the goal is not to hurry up there, ride around in a hurry, and then hurry back. goal is to have a little bit of time to experience some things. My planned route has had me riding every paved road in Alaska. And hopefully the haul road up to the Arctic Ocean and Dead Horse. Alright, here's the intersection. South 81 is right here. Makes sense. Alright, what do we at here? .60604, 2 miles. I know there'll be a historical marker if nothing else, but I'm hoping it's a little bit more elaborate than that, as the brief description I found on the web would inform one. But that brief description had no date. I've gone 2 miles. We're approximately in that range. Fairmont State Airfield. I don't know. Worth a look. Here's a historical marker. Gotta watch out for sand and gravel this time of year. There we go. Fairmont Army Airfield. Construction began on the Fairmont Army Airfield September 17th, 1942. Located east of here, it was one of 11 built in Nebraska during World War II. The 1,980-acre field began as a satellite of the Topeka Army Air Base. Early in 1943, the name was changed to Fairmont Army Airfield. A short-lived training school gave way to the 451st Bombardment Group, which arrived in September 1943. Other groups were the 485th, 504th, 16th, 98th, 467th, and 489th. Hangars of various sizes housed B-24s, B-17s, and B-29s. Extensive concrete runways and other structures were built. The field had barracks for nearly 6,000 officers and enlisted men. Its 350-bed hospital was the largest in Nebraska. In September 1944, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Tibbets visited Fairmont and selected the 393rd Bomb Squadron of the 504th to join the 509th Composite Group at Wendover Field, Utah. This group dropped both atomic bombs on Japan. The field was declared surplus in 1946. That's pretty cool, I would say. Let's go see if there's anything else to see. Ooh. First dirt gravel roading here for the year. Relax on the bars, let them move a little bit. The bike wants to come back to center. Piece of the old runway, I'm sure. Of one of the old runways. again. Suppose these are old hangars that have been repurposed. Or maintained for historical reasons. Kind of nice to come across things that are older than you are. But not by terribly much. Well, what we got here? Just have to explore a little bit, I guess. You'll see. Much in the way of signage. Grain elevator put on that one. This can't be part of the original concrete, can it? Why else this much concrete would be here? I worked concrete construction for 4 summers, college years. So I know a little bit about college construction. So this has got to be part of the runway. Cool. Well, I should be careful here. This is a small active airport also. So knows how much is original versus added in later times. See, it's an airport. It's officially got a windsock. Oh boy. Alrighty. I haven't done a lot of U-turns here either, so we'll see. I've had plenty of space. No problemo. The windsock's not from World War II. Well, I don't know where this supposed model of the airbase as it existed back then is supposed to be depicted or set up. here ways. Go look at that. Police. I want to make sure I'm not a Japanese or German spy left over from World War II. Okay, that's one we've seen already, so let's go up to this next one. Like there's any signs there either. It's been repurposed. I'm sure they probably have funding challenges to try to maintain it as a historical artifact. Ooh, rough road. Pretty decrepit. World War II era hangars at an Army air base. Those huge doors. That got in somehow. I gotta get that out somehow. Took care of that guy. I suppose those doors just opened up and then over 1,900 acres. Really getting decrepit though. I should probably get off the bike and go in there and look around, huh? Don't see any no trespassing signs. Right here, runway, World War II, Army Training Air Base. 4 hangars left. $6,000 people stationed here during the war. Well, I'm pleased. Would have liked to seen the model of the base. Like so much, there's probably not a lot of history left. The changes that happened after the war were amazing in their magnitude and in their speed. See, this is runway. Parts of a runway. Cool. Cool. Very nice. Fairmont Army Air Base. 1943 completed. Decommissioned in 1946. Has a connection with the 2 atomic bombs that America dropped on Japan to end the war, to convince Japan to surrender and end the war. We didn't know about that connection. Very nice. Kind of a legitimate excuse to go biking today, huh? Gosh, why do you need an excuse? And here we are again. September 1944. Tibbets visited Fairmont and selected the 393rd Bomb Squadron of the 504th, joined the 509th Composite Group at Wendover Field in Utah. This group dropped both atomic bombs on Japan. Construction started in September 1942, less than a year after Pearl Harbor. Very interesting. I hope any viewers enjoy the little historical tidbit. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the ride that was absolutely necessary in order to bring it to you. Milligan, Nebraska. Oh, look, a curve. Oh, I should be going faster and lean into it. Oh my goodness. Obviously, like most people, I was taught when there's cars coming at night with their headlights on to kind of watch that white line at your right. Take your eyes off those headlights and watch that white line till they've gone by. But if there's no white line, or it's hard to see because it's really deteriorated, or it's rainy, or whatever, it just makes it harder than it needs to be. I wonder how much it costs to paint a mile of a highway such as this. sure about way too many things. The curse of an inquisitive mind. However, at this point in life, I just as soon have that mind stay like it is for another 20 or 30 years. Just avoid the deer, raccoons, possums. Skunks. There, that's the best piece of advice I have. Avoid the skunks. Dead skunk in the middle of the road, middle of the road, middle of the road. I don't think that's the tune. I'll have to look and see if I can find that online. That's an oldie. 60s or 70s, early 70s. That's Milligan, Nebraska over there. Oh yes, this has got 4 different historical markers on it. First one is a blizzard of 1888. One of the most spectacular and harrowing events in the history of the Great Plains was a blizzard of January 12th, 1888. Other storms had produced colder temperatures and greater amounts of snow. It was a combination of gale winds, blinding snow, and rapidly falling temperatures that made the 1888 blizzard so dangerous. The storm's full fury lasted up to 18 hours in many parts of Nebraska. Because of the suddenness of its onset, the blizzard caught many children away from home in one-room schoolhouses. In an attempt to rescue her 2 sons, Charles and Thomas, from school, Mary Mossick of Milligan trekked nearly 2 miles to the schoolhouse. Finding the building empty, she started for home, but she never reached her destination. She was found frozen to death, huddled near a cottonwood tree, only a short distance from a neighbor's farmhouse. The blizzard of 1888 created the scene for heroic acts. Mary Mossick, like many Nebraskans, fell victim to one of nature's most violent displays while courageously attempting to save the lives of her children. The next one, 2 B-24 Liberators crashed near Milligan in 1943. On October 25th, 1943, 4 B-24 Liberator bombers from the Fairmont Army Airfield were flying in formation. At approximately 4 p.m., one bomber broke formation and the pilot of a second, as trained, moved toward the vacated position. When the first bomber returned to its position, the 2 planes collided. At an altitude of 20,000 feet, it was the highest fatal World War II training accident in Nebraska. One bomber crashed in the adjoining farm fields of Frank Hromodka Sr. and Anna Matijka, 2 miles north and 1/2 mile east of Milligan. The other crashed in the farmyard of Mike and Fred Steck, 3 miles north and 2 miles east of Milligan. Killed were Second Lieutenant James H. Williams, Second Lieutenant William E. Herzog, Second Lieutenant Kenneth S. Ordway, Second Lieutenant Charles L. Brown, Second Lieutenant Clyde H. Fry, Sergeant James H. Bobbitt, Sergeant William D. Watkins, Sergeant William G. Williams, Sergeant Wilbur H. Chamberlain, Sergeant Edward O. Boucher, Sergeant Ursula Galindo Jr., Sergeant William C. Wilson, Sergeant Albert R. Mogavero, Sergeant Arthur O. Doria, Sergeant Eugene A. Hubble, F.O. Akil P. Ageli, and Private Andrew G. Bivona. The sole survivor was Second Lieutenant Melvin Klein. Next one, BT-13B Valiant and P-47D Thunderbolt crash, 1944. On May 10th, 1944, an instructor pilot and a student pilot were flying a BT-13B Valiant aircraft back to the Bruning Army Airfield after a training session. At the same time, a P-47D Thunderbolt fighter, whose pilot had been conducting individual training, was returning to the same airfield. Neither pilot was aware of the other aircraft's presence, and both planes were far from the airfield control tower. After both aircraft made simultaneous turns, they were suddenly headed directly toward one another at a high rate of speed. A mid-air collision occurred at approximately 4,000 feet, causing both aircraft to spiral toward the ground. The BT-13 crashed on the Frank Stike farm, approximately 3 miles west and 2 miles south of Milligan. P-47 crashed on the Fred and Dorothy Stike farm, approximately 3 miles west and 3 miles south of Milligan. P-47 pilot F.O. John Daubeny was killed. Both pilots in the BT-13 bailed out. The instructor pilot, Second Lieutenant Frank W. Marinock, survived, but the student pilot, First Lieutenant William D. Jaeger, lost his life. And yet another crash. B-17G Flying Fortress and B-47D Thunderbolt crash, 1944. September 8th, 1944, P-47 Thunderbolt fighters from the Bruning Army Airfield conducted training attack maneuvers with two formations of B-17 Flying Fortress bombers from the Sioux City Army Airfield. When one P-47 attempted to terminate its mock attack, it collided with the left wing of a B-17, rupturing the bomber's fuel tank. Both planes exploded. Most of the B-17 wreckage landed on the Milo Buzik, D. Baldwin, and Henry Nazda farms, 9 miles south and 1/4 mile east of Milligan. The tail section fell on the Lester Krupika farm. Military officials conducted an extensive search to recover the B-17's top-secret Norden bomb site. The P-47 crashed on the Reinhard Schielke farm, 9 miles south and 1 mile west of Milligan, and its pilot, Second Lieutenant John T. McCarthy, was killed. Of the B-17 crewmen, Corporal Lenore A. Greer, Corporal Walter A. Devon, Private Reuben L. Larson, and Private Albert L. Michels survived, while Second Lieutenant William F. Washburn, Second Lieutenant Bernard I. Hall, Second Lieutenant Lyle C. Baxman, F.O. George A. Budowski, Corporal John E. Tuckles, and Private Henry C. Sedberry lost their lives. So, I guess we see that all that training activity brought with it some tragedy.